Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Zaki Ahmad, which metric number 1814605. So today's video we're from Group 5 and UNGS 2060 Section 1. We are going to present about the interesting topic, which is some popular tourist destination in Malaysia and their historical and cultural significance. And I'm, as a first presenter, going to explain you about the first popular tourist destination that I have already chosen. And it is History of Istana Bandar, 1899. For your information, Istana Bandar or 40-room palace is located on 1260 acres of land. The real name of this castle is Aladdin Castle or Istana Aladdin. The location of this castle was built next to the Aladdin Mosque, Kampung Bandar, Jukra. The palace was built in stages during the reign of the late 5th Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sir Aladdin Sulaiman Shah Al-Hajj Ibn Almarhum Raja Muda Musa, who ruled for 4 years from 1898 to 1938. At that time, Jugra was a royal city before moving to Kelang. The inspiration for the construction and the funds to build this castle came entirely from the late His Majesty himself. Since being officially inaugurated and residing at Istana Mahkota Puri, Kelang, in 1903, Almarhum often visited Kampung Bandar to worship and always recited the sermons of Friday, sermon at the Idul Fitri and Idul Adha, besides meeting his wife at this palace. He resided in this palace for 35 years until his death in 1938. After his death, this castle was left empty. This castle was once used as the Tafid Centers and District Handicraft Center, but was again vacated in 2006. In order to maintain the importance of this building, several government agencies such as the Selangor State Government and the National Heritage Department have done work for restoration to retain the original features of this castle. As we can see in the pictures, this is how old building in the beginning of construction in 1899 and completion in 1903. And also, Istana Bandar is one of the most beautiful castles in terms of architecture. It is one of the oldest palaces of the Malay king and still in its original design. Indian Moorish elements of the decoration and titles of the roof, while the Chinese and Western influences are on the shape of the pillars. Window decoration, door types and building system was influenced by Chinese and Western. However, the architecture of this palace still retains the decorative style and character of the five-roof Malay house. In addition to attractive interior architecture, the palace also features an attractive landscape, in addition to the construction of waterfalls in front and inside the castle. This is how new building look like. In 1980, the restoration of building for new building was decided and completed in 1990. We move to the next slide. About the location, it is located in Jugra, near Banting, Kuala Langat region, Selangor, Malaysia. This transportation how to get to this Istana Bandar, but I suggest you to use your own cars or motorcycle. This is much better because you do not have to spend too much or spend time too much. For the next slide, who was a founder of this building? He was Sultan Sir Aladdin Sulaiman Shah Ibn Almarhum Raja Musa. He was the fifth Sultan Selangor, lived here for many years until his death in 1938. His grandson, Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Shah, who was to be ex-Sultan of Selangor, and he was born in this castle in 1926. And what I put in this slide is many reviews from the visitor, and they gave positive comments such as asking the government to pay more attention to this historical castle like this so that they can attract many tourists both from outside Malaysia and inside Malaysia, or for the especially local residents. From an economy point of view, indeed this place doesn't give much impact to to revive the Malaysian economy because this place can be visited for free. But in my opinion, if this place has become famous, this place will be visited by many people, and if visitors from the countries, then Malaysia economy will be helped in terms of the transportation they use to get to this place. Of course, this is also the input to grow the Malaysian economy for the better.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my presentation. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Khalil, and I'm here today to present the second tourist destination about Taiping City. Okay, let's begin. Taiping is situated in Perak and known to be the second largest town in Perak after the state capital, Ipoh. Previously, Taiping used to be the first Perak state capital city before Ipoh replaced it. Now, let us discuss about its history. The name Taiping actually comes from two Chinese characters which are Tai, which means great, and Ping, which means peace. And before Taiping, it was named as Klian Pao, which Klian means mine and Pao means small sized mango. And if you wonder why its name is based on mine, because it's previously Taiping was rich in mine or biji timah. Thus, we can tell that Taiping was a rich city during those times. In year 1848, there was a famous legend Malay man named Long Jafar, and he has been historically credited for the discovery of tin in Larut district. Fun fact, Larut was named after Long Jafar's elephant and after the story of how the elephant went missing and was found later by Long Jafar. And when he noticed tin ore embedded in the mud that was on his elephant's leg. Okay, next, let's focus on its favorite destination in Taiping. And I have selected three favorite places that travelers should go to. The first one is Taiping Lake Gardens. Taiping Lake Garden is one of the most famous attractions in Taiping. Established in 1880, the 62 hectares park, also known as Taman Tasik Taiping, and it is one of the oldest gardens in Malaysia. The garden is created on the site of an abandoned tin mine. This place is visited for its aesthetic and great beauty, and Taiping Lake Gardens is also home to the gigantic pine trees. Taiping Lake Garden is an ideal stop if you are nearby at the Taiping Zoo or Bukit Larut. At the lake, you can do some water cycling on swan-like boats. The second one is Clock Tower. No visit to Taiping is complete until you've been to the Clock Tower, a white building that is inspired by a classic European design. This is a tower that screams a vintage vibe, serving as a police station and fire brigade until 1950. The clock tower is now a popular attraction that consists of many Instagrammable spots, from traditional tree show to an old elephant booth. So get ready to snap more than 10 photos here. And the last one is Bukit Larut, located about 10 kilometers from the town of Taiping, and it is a popular highland destination. Bukit Larut is also known as Maxwell Hill and is the oldest hill station in Malaysia. The hill is situated at an altitude of 1,250 meters above sea level, offering visitors the preserved quiet atmosphere of a colonial hill station. For those who love serenity and surroundings will find it relaxing to stroll along the natural trails and verdant flowers garden to discover the various species of flora and fauna of Bukit Larut. Now, after we have visited the places, of course, it's not complete without finding the best places to eat in Taiping. The first place that I suggest is Larut Matang Hawker Center. This is one of the most popular local eateries in Taiping. You can find a lot of food here for an affordable prices. For example, there is one stall that sells their famous large cup of Milo dinosaur for only 3 ringgit. And this hawker center divides into two sections, which are halal and non-halal sections. And I will say it is quite uncommon phenomenon in Malaysia for the halal and non-halal sections to share in one roof of building. Fun fact, there are some hawker stall that has provided business here for more than 30 years. Wow. Apart from that, if you pass by Taiping town in Perak, there are two popular Malay-style cendol. They are Bismillah cendol and Ansari cendol. But the Ansari famous cendol restaurant is the best and the most popular stall in this town. Spanning 3 generations, Ansari was founded by Abdul Qadir, who opened his cendol stall in 1940. This famous delicious chendol shop always crowded with queues, especially during lunch hour, and the prices range from 1 ringgit and 10 cent for plain chendol to 1 ringgit 60 cents for the peanut plus pulut version. So don't leave Taiping without tasting it. Okay, now let's see how Taiping brings cultural and economic importance in Malaysia. As we have discussed earlier, Taiping has left its mark in the history of Perak. Thus, this has allowed the tourists to visit Taiping. Apart from that, in year 2019, Taiping has been awarded as number 3 most sustainable city in the world. Not in Malaysia, but in the world after Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia, and Vancouver in Canada. Previously, Taiping also has been recognized as the best destination manager 2016 by the Tourism Promotion Board for the Asia Pacific. Besides, having received the Malaysia Tourism Council Gold Award 2017 in Best Heritage and Eco-Travel Destination category, And also Malaysia Tourism Council Gold Award 2018 for the best tourism promotion campaign. Not to forget, in Malaysia, Taiping also has been awarded as top 10 the happiest cities in Malaysia. So, based on all of these achievements that I've mentioned, in my opinion, all of these achievements will help in economic contribution to Malaysia, specifically in tourism field. Hence, in my unpopular opinion, and this is my last slide, Taiping is not as fancy as other cities in Malaysia like Kuala Lumpur, Penang, etc. But this underrated city really helps Malaysia to be recognized in the world for tourist attractions. Thank you for your attention.
Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mafazaro Hadatul Aish, and here, this time, I'm going to present to you one of the most popular destination in Malaysia, especially in Kuala Lumpur, and that is Dataran Merdeka. So, Dataran Merdeka is also called as Merdeka Square because Dataran means square, or in another word also can refer as Independence Square. So independence in Malaysia, it's called Merdeka. So it's the same. You can call it as Dataran Merdeka or Merdeka Square or Independence Square. Okay, so first thing first, let's talk about the historical background of Dataran Merdeka. So Dataran Merdeka, formerly known as the Padang Club, is among the earliest open spaces set up by the British in Malaysia. So, Dataran Merdeka, formerly known as the Padang Club. Why there is a word Padang and Club there? The club referring to is the social club established by the British at the moment, and then the Padang is actually the square or the Dataran. So it's basically the place for the club, the social club, to gather or to hold any event. And then the second function is the open field was used also as a vegetable farm by the Chinese settlers before its adoption by the British. So as we already know that Malaya was colonized by British before, but before British came to the country, it was also functioned as the vegetable farm. And then also, the field was intended as a military ground for the police and army, and later altered as a cricket and football field by the British and the elite groups. So the field, or the Dataran Merdeka itself, was intended as a military ground. As you can see in the picture, it is a place where police and army held any military event, and also altered as a cricket and football field for the British and the elite groups. So the social club that I was referring to, also including the football club, also the cricket clubs. And then lastly, Dataran Merdeka also functioned as a civic square for the British administration to host official occasions. So if you go to Dataran Merdeka now, you will see that Dataran Merdeka also surrounded by so many buildings, and one of them is actually the building that was used as the British administration's building or British government's building. So the richness of Dataran Merdeka history is not stopping there. So here is the second part of historical background, that is Dataran means square and Merdeka means independence, as I said in the very first slide. So basically this is a place where Malaysia announced its independence after the British colonial left. The name itself is showing that this is the place that marks the independence of Malaysia from colonial rule on 31st August 1957. And 31st August 1947 is the Malaysian Independence Day. So this is the place that remark that day. And also this is the place where Union flag was lowered and replaced with the Malaysian flag. So it is the place to announce the independence and to declare to the world that right now Malaysia is belong to Malaysian people. And also this is the place where the sixth tallest flagpole in the world is located, which in 100 meters high. So before it was reputed as the tallest flagpole in the world, but right now it is the sixth. But it's still amazing because it shows the heightness or the almighty of the pole itself. Okay, right now we are going to talk about the Merdeka Square blueprint. And principally, this is my basic reason why I chose this place as a destination in Malaysia. Because when you come to this place, you are not just going to see the Merdeka Square, but you will also see so many significant buildings around here. So you get the bonus of that. So one of the building that is very significant here is Sultan Abdul Samad building. This is a building that highlighted the most, I think, in the Merdeka Square. Because first, the Merdeka Square itself, as you already know, has been functioned as the government building. And this is the Sultan Abdul Samad building that was used to be a British government building. And later in 1974, the name changed to Sultan Abdul Samad Building, which Sultan Abdul Samad is the name of Sultan Selangor at that moment in 1974, and later it has some renovations in it, so it can present the better architecture and the better building for the visitors. So the second is Saint Mary's Cathedral. This is also a cathedral that you can maybe you can take a picture, and then because it is located in the heart of the city, you can also see the significance of that. And also the Kuala Lumpur City Library is also located here in the number 12. So what is interesting is that when you come to here, you will just maybe you don't want to just hang out, but also you want to search for literature, and at the same time absorbing their heritage in it. You can go to Kuala Lumpur City Library and then sit there, and then also just visiting the heritage that. So there are some significance of Dataran Merdeka, and the first significance is as historic open space. So because Dataran Merdeka has a quite richness in its history, as we already learned before, that people who came here, like maybe foreigners or even locals, they will be attracted to the building first, but later on they will also get introduced to its history. Because I myself went there before, like a month ago, and I was quite captivated by the building and also by the people who came there. And then later on I learned about the history as well. So I think it can be a great place to introduce Malaysian history and Malaysian heritage. So the second significance of Dataran Merdeka is as cultural space. As we already know that Dataran Merdeka is located in a fairly strategical place. This is on the heart of Kuala Lumpur, on the heart of this city. So that's why it is very strategic for cultural space to be held. And moreover, because it is surrounded by so many buildings, and in the heart of those buildings, so many people usually went there, and so that's why it is a great place for holding such event. So the last significance of Dataran Merdeka is sometimes Dataran Merdeka also can function as temporary market. So Dataran Merdeka is not just about the historical space, it's not just about the communal or cultural space, but it's also as a place where locals can boost their economy. Maybe it is not an everyday event, maybe it's just an annual or sometimes just monthly in such, like in in an important event only, but it is truly has the significance towards people's and locals' economy. So I think that's all from me, Mafaza. And here, after this, my friends will proceed into another destinations in Malaysia. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Nidia Rafiq Izzati. I will present to you about the 4 tourism places in this presentation, and it is about Masjid Jame in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, let's begin. There are 3 points that we will discuss in this part. The first is about the history, and the second is about the architecture, and the last is about the influence of social culture and economy. Okay, the first is about the history. Masjid Jame is the city's oldest surviving mosque, located at the confluence of the Sungai Klang and Sungai Gombak. It is one of the most photographed buildings in the country. The mosque was designed by Hubak. Government architecture was also responsible for other notable designs during the period. The money was raised by subscription from the Mali community and government funds. Jame Mosque was constructed on the site of the first Mali commentary and was officially opened in 1909 in the presence of a large group of Malays from all over the state. Until the opening of the National Mosque in 1965, Masjid Jame served as Kuala Lumpur Principal Mosque, and in 1979, 4 million ringgit was spent to renovate and refurbish the mosque. And the second is about the architecture. The design was inspired by Mughal mosques in North India. Cupolas and minarets of the bridge walls are arched colonnades. 3 domes surmount the prayer hall. The central dome is 21.3 meters, 70 feet high, and is flanked by 2 covered domes. The prayer hall opens out into a walled shan, which has now been covered over. At the corners are 2 red and white strips minarets 26 to 88 feet high, identical in design with cutteries on the top. A large number of small cutteries top entrance and corner of the mosque. Curved steps lead to the water's edge. Okay, and the third is about the influence of socioculture and economy. Masjid Jame stands as a prominent symbol of the country's religious history. As in custom for the Muslim, a call to prayer occurs 5 times a day, and many Malays break their workday at each calling. Emanating from the mosque at this time what is known as the Azan, the echoes over the area. This phenomenon actually had created a unique identity at the area. This culture gradually becomes an attraction to the tourists to visit the area. It means that although the Mali is busy by the economic activities and work at the surrounding area, at a certain time they will take a break to accomplish their obligation to perform the prayer. This culture becomes so clear, especially during Friday when the traffic at the area will become massive, because most of the citizens want to go to the Masjid Jame to perform their salat. On the other hand, the echo azan and sometimes the reading Al-Quran in the area actually had given some identification about socioculture, culture of Mali as a dominant race in Malaysia at the area. The culture of Mali has always been intrinsically linked by a strongly devout belief in Islam. The Mali is very sensitive about their food, and they just eat the halal food. The situation and culture had encouraged the growth of many types of Mali food stalls and shops at the area. Indirectly, the existence of Masjid Jame at the area as a worship place for most if the Muslim had given an income and job opportunity to the Malay. Besides, the reputation of Masjid Jame as a landmark of Kuala Lumpur also had given a big implication to the socio-culture and economic of Malay community. The Tourist Development Corporation showed that almost 2 million tourists visit this Kuala Lumpur every year. The incoming tourists made the streets become so busy, and this opportunity had been used by the Malay to open their business along the street. There are so many types of stuffs that showed there, and more than the existence of Masjid Jame at the hub of Kuala Lumpur had given a big significance in terms of culture of the architecture at the area. Indirectly, the survival of Masjid Jame had become a symbol of colonial architecture, and at the same time, the variety of the architecture style at Kuala Lumpur. If we look at the existence of Masjid Jame in context of Islamic city and Islamic architecture, the mosque had become a center of all the activities. This is based on Surah Al-Jumu'ah, verse 9, which encourage their followers to run for their daily and duties after performing their task, their prayer. Therefore, encourage their followers. The existence of the mosque inevitably had become a symbol of Kuala Lumpur as Islamic city. And for the Malay, the Masjid Jame is the spirit of Muslim citizens at Kuala Lumpur. Although there are a lot of new landmarks of mosques like Putrajaya Mosque and also National Mosque, but still cannot against the superior of Masjid Jame as the survival mosque for a long time period. For the Malay, the Masjid Jame is a witness of the evolution of Kuala Lumpur from a small city based on mining activities until today as a mega city which serves the latest technology and become the whole business venture. Although the Masjid Jame had been designed by the foreigner architecture, but actually the Malay is real architect of the mosque. They had given the soul of the mosque and also the environment around the place from time by time. They served for the mosque and given the big gratitude toward it. So the conclusion is the existence of Masjid Jame had given a big implication in terms of evolution of the social culture and economic activities of the Malay at Kuala Lumpur City. This all from us. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.